Thank you for wearing masks. Thank you for social distancing, for keeping yourself safe. Thank you for coming. I don't want to endanger any more trees, but possibly myself. I just want to tell you what will happen in the next 30 minutes. First, family friend Wayne Benjamin will play a selection from Massenet's Meditation on the cello. Then we will hear from 4 speakers: Alex Greenough, Lynn Cushman, my sister, Marcy Eisenstein, who has been Wally's law partner for over 40 years and is the managing partner of Schiff Hardin, where he hung his shingle for 44 years. Then we will have Patrick Bauer, Wally's law school roommate and almost nearly retired professor of law at the University of Iowa. When Patrick finishes, Ife Butler will sing Amazing Grace. When Ife finishes, please join me for 2 minutes of silent reflection. At the end of that 2 minutes, we will have Chow Huang, a fairly recent New Trier grad, and a band of his friends will be playing some New Orleans jazz music while all of the rest of us socially distance. There are bottles of water over there by the sidewalk. There's more chairs if anyone needs them, also by the sidewalk near the sign. And that's it. Thank you for being here. Alex and Versa and Lynn and I. Thank you for coming. Oh, for speakers, there's this. So you're welcome to wipe down.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex, or as some of you more acquainted with my father may know me, the wretched child. What's been amazing for me is not just the outpouring of support and love, but the diverse social circles from which it's come. We have colleagues from his law firm and the places where he volunteered his time, fellow thespians from his play reading group and the theater for which he was a board member, neighbors from the village to which he donated countless hours to the Caucus and other groups, and even schoolmates from 6 decades ago. How do you sum up a man like Wally in 3 minutes? Because while he was very honestly himself, he was, in some ways, inherently contradictory. Few of us know anyone more jovial and even at times plain silly than Wally. However, few of us know someone more type A. When he thought it was time to do something, he told you what to do, when to do it, which was usually now, and how you're doing it wrong. And yet, you could never really hold a grudge against him. Something about his good-natured, honest, self-effacing personality let him speak the sometimes hard truths while showing that he honestly wanted what was best for everyone. He was a teacher. Only recently, I learned how much he cared about mentoring younger lawyers at his law firm. But what I did know is that he was always showing all of us, regardless of age, a better way to live our lives. And having known him for 33 years, these are the life lessons I learned from him. Be skeptical. There are too many things he saw passed around by others that were easily discounted by Snopes or a cursory internet search. If something sounds too stupid to be true, it probably is. He was famous at his law firm for his April Fool's pranks and emails. They weren't just to amuse Wally, although they certainly did, but to teach lessons. Did any of his fake corporate announcements make sense? Did it make sense that Schiff was merging with the law firm Sun & Shine because Sun & Shine really liked the lobby floor elevators? The only thing he loved more than testing people was when people passed his tests. When someone rightly called him out on one of his jokes, his face would light up with joy. He was proud when people figured it out. It showed that they were thinking. Enjoy life. Many people recently have spoken of Wally making them go off the beaten path while working in foreign locales. But it's more than that. When my grandmother took us all to Russia, our group received a private performance from some opera singers. After a beautiful rendition of Figaro, Wally was the most enthusiastic member of the audience, clapping loudly, shouting, "Bravo! Encore!" That was over a decade and a half ago, and the image stays with me to this day. Enjoy life. Drink the beverage with the paper umbrella. Go on the random double-decker bus. Take the airboat ride. Be as positively in the moment as you can be. Just do it. You don't have the perfect words to say. You're not fully sure how to write your essay or your eulogy. You're not sure if you should go on this vacation right now. Just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be done. To quote Patton, a good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan next week. I don't know how many times I'd be waffling on how to start or finish some assignment for school, and he'd sit down next to me and tell me to do it. And I'd say, but I'm not sure what to do or what's expected of me. And he'd reply, it doesn't matter, just get it started, put something down on paper now. And he was right. It's a lesson I use in designing multi-million-dollar test stands today. Something on paper, even if it's not perfect, is better than nothing. Once you have something, you can work on it, modify it, ask for suggestions to improve it. But if you have nothing, you have nothing. And lastly, be yourself. Early in his career at a mock trial, he tried to act the part of the humble lawyer with Southern charm. He was quickly told that he couldn't pull that off. There was also a time he thought, maybe I should go by Walter instead of Wally. He figured out himself that he couldn't pull that off either. He was Wally. He drank pina coladas when everyone else ordered whiskey. He didn't try to fit in. He was himself, and it's what drew people to him. Of course he was going to order the pina colada because the pina coladas are delicious. The whiskey drinkers saw he was right, and they ordered pina coladas as well. When I was a kid, there was always music playing on the living room speakers. One night we'd be listening to Bach or Brahms. The next night, Magical Mr. Mistopheles would be blaring from Andrew Lloyd Webber's greatest hits. The night after might be the soundtrack from Aladdin or The Little Mermaid. He didn't throw around pretensions. He liked what he liked. You can like opera and Disney simultaneously. There's no contradiction in that. You can be a corporate litigator while displaying in your office your junior high school diploma, a jelly bean dispenser, and a singing fish pack from Walgreens. The outpouring of love and sympathy and help we've been given over the past few months show the quality of man he was by the quality of the friends we have in front of us. Thank you all for what you have given us and for the times you gave him. And know that he genuinely loved every moment of it. Thank you.
I'm Nan's sister, Lynn. I know Wally would just have loved this day. It is so spectacular. So I've known Wally for a long time, since the 70s, and I have questions. I had questions. What kind of successful litigator wakes up in the morning to delight in happy-faced pancakes, identifies Malamars as a favorite food group, craves chocolate cherry love blizzards? What kind of litigator has a goofy sense of humor and is constantly self-deprecating? Well, I would say a great one, and I learned to never even try to disagree with Wally, knowing that he would turn my arguments and me into a pretzel. God knows what he did in his trials. Wally was so proud of Nan and Alex. I can see him pull up his frame, and I still can't do this exactly right, but he'd be like, and then he'd put the big smile on. I can see him pull up his frame, leaning on one foot and then the other to ground his mammoth smile while acknowledging a new accomplishment. With Alex, whether a football tackle, a funny speech at Trinity, cowboy hat intact, or a new jet engine tested, Wally would puff up and say, "That's my boy." Nan provided him with a plethora of opportunities to gloat, whether she was designing a bridge, fulfilling an elected position, running a board, completing a new pen and ink, or creating a Christmas decoration for Winnetka. His wind-up was the same, first one foot, then the other, topped with a smile. Wally loved his koi pond. Though he was jealous of my frog pond and my star frog Herman, Wally had multiple levels of beautiful golden fish and waterfalls that gave him great delight. He always encouraged me, saying, "You always have the best ideas for inventions or gizmos. Most other people would roll their eyes, but he would appreciate the possibilities." He loved my oyster stuffing. It was fun to make it for him because he delighted in it and made sure that I knew it. He wouldn't allow anyone else to make it, and he refused the recipe. Wally taught me a lot of lessons. The first was in the 70s. Wally was on an early visit to our family, trying to impress our parents as a good boyfriend should. The first morning at dawn, I hastily rushed out to our garage to get to my summer job, and the crunching of metal broke the morning stillness. The good news is I wiped my memory clean of his reaction. The bad news is the repair of his car wiped out my summer earnings. I learned that I had to look behind me before flooring the car in reverse, and that lesson alone has been priceless. I love that Wally always asked questions, and he waited for the answer. And he asked the hard questions. He was a great counselor to me, and I often asked him for help. I knew that he would tell me the truth even if I didn't want to hear it. Wally guided me through several sticky wickets, and I will always be profoundly grateful. When I was going through a difficult time, Nan and Wally stepped in to help me. Nan said it was Wally's idea, and for that I will miss him and be so humbly grateful. They say it's important to have a lawyer in the family, and maybe I've learned enough from Wally to navigate life a bit better, but I will really miss knowing that he's here. In conclusion, as a way to honor Wally, I saw this quote, and it just was so perfect. We should all remember this. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, and to love. Thank you.
Got to get my glasses on with. Take the hat off. Put the glasses on. Put the hat back on. Okay. Now I'm ready. I'm Marcy Eisenstein. Wally and I were colleagues at Schiff Hardin for over 40 years. But for me, Wally was more than a close colleague. For literally decades, he was my work husband. I couldn't have asked for a better partner. He was brilliant, kind-hearted, and with his wonderful sense of humor kept me grounded and laughing, mostly at myself and even in the most difficult times. I could and did confide almost anything in him, and I will miss him every day. For decades, Wally and I had lunch together once a week. We talk about our families, our work, books and theater, talent limited, politics, home improvements, just about anything and everything two people can talk about. He'd sometimes stop by my office to check in, and I know he'd been there when I saw a small yellow Post-it note on my chair with just 2 words, "Great outfit," in his signature green felt ink. He knew how much I loved clothes and to shop, and seeing that note always made me smile. Over the years, our friendship expanded into our personal lives. As couples, Wally, Nan, my husband John, and I would go to dinners and shows together, and eventually we became travel companions. As couples, we took 5 wonderful trips together to Yellowstone, Galapagos, southern France, Santa Fe, and most recently, Iceland. Wally turned every trip into a joyful adventure. I can still hear him squealing with delight as we swam in the Galapagos, surrounded by seals. Or when we spotted a fully antlered moose in Yellowstone, and Wally declared that his Yellowstone bucket list was now complete. And Wally transformed what was a lovely trip to southern France into a magical adventure when he emailed an Amherst classmate he'd never met before, but who lived in a medieval hilltop town not far from the house that we had rented. Thanks to the Greenough's collective charms, we were soon having drinks with his classmate in his medieval mansion, dining with him under the stars, and watching Richard II performed by a traveling Shakespeare troupe in the village square. It was something. Wally's mark on our law firm was joyful and palpable. He brought humor and light to our workplace. A few weeks ago, the firm held a Zoom tribute to Wally. Over 150 current and former colleagues called in to hear 15 speakers remember Wally. For an hour and a half, we told Wally stories and we laughed through our tears. Everyone noted Wally's brilliance as a lawyer. But what struck me most was how Wally had created special personal relationships with so many colleagues through his humor and the pranks that he pulled on them, and they loved him for it. For Wally, work had to be fun. Here's one crazy example. One of our partners passed out at his desk and hit the floor. The day before he returned with a clean bill of health, Wally snuck into his office and transformed it into a crime scene, complete with yellow tape to cordon off the office and masking tape on the floor to outline where the body had been found. It was irreverent and hysterical. And April 1st became an unofficial holiday at Schiff Hardin, as we'd anticipate Wally's signature prank bulletins or emails, which had the patina of legitimacy, but were full of inside jokes. Before email, we had a daily bulletin which would show who would be out of the office and for how long and why. In one April 1st bulletin, wedged between the normal comings and goings, was the announcement that I would be out for the rest of the year, shopping at Bloomingdale's. Wally had a way of poking fun at our institutions, lovingly, but with wit and satire, making sure that we didn't take ourselves too seriously. I remember that when we first started holding partner retreats at distant locations, an email came out, purportedly from firm management, stating that to keep costs down and to promote esprit de corps, partners would be sharing hotel rooms at the retreat. However, it went on to say that partners could opt out of that program if they cashed in their miles to cover their airfare. I don't want to tell you how many of our partners quickly called Wally's co-conspirator in the accounting department to offer up their frequent flyer miles. I can tell you this much, Wally howled with laughter with every call. No tribute would do Wally justice without recognizing what a superb trial lawyer was, and he was one of our very best. I had personally the awesome experience of trying a case with Wally, the largest and most difficult of my career. We were in a hellhole jurisdiction in southern Illinois where a trial defeat seemed a near certainty. Some of my partners were skittish about getting involved, but Wally gave me an unreserved yes when I asked him to handle the experts, and he emerged as a rock star at that trial. While the rest of us were pilloried every day by the local press, Wally became the press's darling, lauded for his searing and deceptively simple cross-examinations. And in the latter part of his career, Wally won 13 out of 15 jury verdicts in very challenging jurisdictions in incredibly difficult cases involving injuries to young children. No one should let Wally's wit, irreverence, or brilliance overshadow the fact that he had a huge heart. As he moved into retirement, he told me he wanted to make a difference to others, and he had decided to donate a kidney as part of a kidney donation chain. He worked hard to qualify as a donor and was deeply disappointed when it didn't work out. But the point was that he wanted to be a life giver, and he was. All of us who knew Wally felt more alive because of him. He gave us laughter, joy, and most of all, love.
Wally and I first met in the fall of 1972 in a dormitory for first-year students adjoining the law school at the University of Chicago. The paths we had taken in getting there had been a bit different, but for the next 48 years, our lives unfolded in remarkably similar ways. I was Wally's best man when he married Nan within months of our passing the bar, and a short time later, he was one of my groomsmen when I married Chris. We got together as couples at regular intervals during our early years as DINKs, which I assume some of you may remember was a then popular acronym for Double Income, No Kids. Thereafter, for a couple of decades, we also saw each other regularly as we weathered the challenges and rewards of raising our children. More recently, as empty nesters, we met up for weekends at various destinations where Nan and I enjoyed the results of the advanced planning Wally and Chris had done with scant help from the two of us. For me, the most meaningful aspect of memorial gatherings is the triangulation that occurs in comparing notes with others who knew the departed at different times and in different ways. I always find it most heartening to hear about the essential characteristics manifesting themselves in much the same way across a range of circumstances. Wally's incredible wit is something many may remember. As I thought back to instances of almost convulsive laughter, I realized they often involved a great deal of surrounding context that has dimmed a bit with the passage of time. But they invariably reflected the quickness of Wally's mind, but perhaps more so his ability to nail some essential dimension of a particular circumstance that was the product of his capacity to be fully present and closely observant. I'm certain that orientation made him powerfully effective across a range of professional settings and community endeavors. But in more private interactions, his attentiveness to others made Wally a wonderful companion and an exceptional friend. It's sad to realize that Wally is no longer with us, but we can honor his memory today by being fully present in the conversations we'll be having with each other about him. Thank you for sharing your own remembrances of Wally both now and in later settings when his absence comes to mind. Thank you.
Happy Sunday. Thank you, Wally, for this beautiful weather. It's just right, just like Wally was. Every time he would walk into a theater and I would hear his voice, I'd be on stage, and I can't see when I'm on stage. I could hear his voice. I could hear that laughter, and I knew he was with me. And then after the show, the way he would rib me about scenes I would do, and did I miss a line, or did I forget a step, I would go, thanks, Wally. But I know it was all from love. So it gives me great pleasure to be here and celebrate what a great human being Wally was and all the things that he left us. It gives me great joy. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious is that grace, it appears the hour